Hey everybody, hope everybody's doing well. Happy Wednesday, happy hump day. Let me just do this real quick so we can get on with the show. Boom. Perfect. Okay. Yeah, hope everybody's doing well. Yeah, as you know, all know, we have Tim from TL Pedals Canada coming back on the show. Tim was on the show, I believe. Man, I'm thinking like maybe early summer or late spring, sometime like that. And decided to bring him back again. Now, if you remember from that show, and you're gonna have to be a little bit of patient. There's a little bit of a delay from when I asked the question to Tim answering the question. So we're he's actually rebooting in the at the moment to try to maybe help that a little bit. So just be aware. He can hear me. It's just it takes like a couple seconds. But anyways, while we're waiting for Tim to reboot and come back in, let me just say hello to some of the folks that are in here. We got Jay Wu, welcome. Thunder Falcon, prayers to the Coombs family. Oh, I hope everything's all right with them. Paul Lou, how are you? Brad Miller, nice to see you. There's the original Paramutant. There's Brian S. And there's the first jump of the evening. Let me just get caught back up here. Uh, Alexander Rocker, how are you, man? Brad Miller, Danny, New Jersey. George Lackey, welcome. Nate Sparks, how are you? Got some new names here, folks. If you're new, please like and subscribe. Rick Hefner, Mitch Heyman, nice to see you guys. Welcome everybody to the show. And as we go along, hey Janice, how are you? Terry Himes, welcome. As we go along in the show, hey Hugh, how are you? Please just tag me if you've got any questions. Gene Schmidt, am I frozen? Who's frozen? Am I frozen? Let me know if I'm frozen. Half Face, how are you? Spencer Cron, Marsman. Okay, yeah. Give me a one if you guys can hear me and see me okay. I'm a little I just read that I was frozen, so I just want to make sure. Just give me a one if you can hear me and see me okay. You're good. Okay. Thanks everybody. Appreciate that. And without further ado, here is Tim. So Tim, how you been? How are you?
Awesome, man. Busy. Lots going on.
What's going on? So the you got some new designs cooking from the last time we chatted?
Yeah, there's a few new designs. I've reintroduced some of my previous designs, a little more um, modern design with the surface mount components and stuff. And I'm getting pretty good feedback from the guys that have tried them. And, you know, it's kind of the direction of the industry, I guess.
All right. So for those of us that um are not sure what you mean by like let tell me the difference between I think what you mean is like point to point and putting it on a PC board. But for those that don't know, can you explain the difference in building the pedals, surface mounting?
So with surface mount, it's still the exact same schematic. So all of the component values and everything are exactly the same. It's just using a lot smaller components, which are cheaper and more precise and less prone to variance from one to the next. Whereas, like traditionally, it's more labor intensive to use full size through hole components. They actually go through the circuit board and then get soldered on the back. These here I can have manufactured for me along with the circuit boards, and I can still use really good quality pots and jacks and switches and wire everything up with good quality mil spec, like aviation grade wire, but still allow me to decrease my time building them, which makes them cheaper for the end user.
Okay, so what pedals have you switched over to doing that format so far?
So we're all done the honker and the Stinger Fuzz. That's the big muff uh, 73 variant with the mids control,
Right.
which I think a lot of the guys that I recognize in the comments would have probably heard those on some of the YouTube demos that we've put out.
Okay, cool, cool. So how are things? I mean, in terms of like the pedals with the COVID and everything, are you finding it, things the demand kind of dropping off, or is it picking up because people have more time? What are you finding?
It was really weird because early this year, um, I would say in the first couple months of the year, we sold about as many pedals as we had since we reopened in 2019. We reopened around like March of 2019, and then as soon as things started kind of shutting down, or people started wondering what was going on with their future, things died off a lot. And then I was a bit concerned myself, so I had cut our prices right down to just a little above like the actual cost of the parts, just to liquidate what I had in inventory. And then things really picked up. The summer was really busy. Brielle started building some pedals. We started coming up with some new designs. And then over the last couple months, things have kind of quieted down a bit. It's been pretty good because, like for us, things are pretty busy, like personally and at home. So it's not all bad. I don't rely on this to keep me alive or provide for my family per se. Not yet, anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, we got a few orders last week and just puttering away. It's good. Yeah.
So for those that are new to TL Pedals, tell them a little bit about the company, how you go about, like, this is not your main job. This is sort of something you do on the side. But yeah, for those who are maybe new to TL Pedals, if you want to give them a little bit of background, that'd be cool.
Well, I like Gene Schmidt's comment. There seems like Tim is in Tel Aviv, like
Yeah.
the old CNN broadcaster, where there's a huge delay between the question and the answers. I am basically in Tel Aviv. It's the basement of a house in the backwoods of Eastern Canada, and I have been building pedals for quite a long time. I think it's 7 years now, or give or take, maybe 8. And we just finished. I think the last one I just finished was 634 or 635. We'd taken a couple years break just because I had some changes at my day job and I had a whole bunch more responsibility, and figured at the time I needed to focus on that. And things have been pretty good on that front, which has allowed things to be more stable and predictable for our home life. And we relaunched last March in 2019. It's all basically a home business that we do, but we try really, really hard to make a good quality product that's going to stand up and last a long time. And really, because of the exchange rate with the U.S. currency, it's been really competitive for the American market. And I'm optimistic that I see there's a few guys on here tonight from the area that we're offering something that is comparable price or better price, and at least as good quality, if not better.
Well, I own one of your pedals. I have the TL808, and that has not left my board since I got it. It's a phenomenal pedal. What Tim does, he's being very modest, and he basically puts like 3 pedals into one. Like he jam packs them with features like the TL808, which you know the 808 is basically a tube screamer, but this is like a tube screamer along with a clean boost, along with a just a great drive pedal, all in one with the flick of a switch. So um, you pack a lot into one pedals.
Just from my background in aviation too, like we were like over and over and over again instructed to do things a certain way so that things simply wouldn't fail, or there was enough redundancies built in so that if there was a problem with one thing, that the other side of things would help support that or reinforce that. Um, with what I'm trying to like incorporate with these surface mount designs, I'm trying to still keep same tone, the same reaction, the same sort of effect as the through hole components, but wire it up with really high end wire, good switches, good jacks, like so it'll never wear out. Because that seems to be what most of the repairs I've done over the years have been, is wiring breaks, or the jack wears out, or the switch breaks.
Yeah, yeah. So are you having an issue sourcing parts with the current climate?
Not at all. I have a number of different suppliers that I use, and that's one thing that I was able to carry over since early on. And I don't know, it would probably be 2013 or 2014. Most of the suppliers I use are reputable sources that have been around a long time. They have good supply chains. So I have, multiple options. If one supplier that happens to be a few dollars cheaper on something than another runs out of inventory on something, I just order from the other one. So it's really been good that way. There was only once that I got delayed on something, and it was because the parts house had literally shut down. Like they had closed their doors and shut down for I think it was like 6 weeks straight or something like that. Other than that, I've had multiple lines of parts now that I know which really are the ones that are the best and hold up and that last, because I don't want to have to do warranty even though I offer it.
Right. So what are your hot ticket pedals? What's the best selling, say, 2 or 3 pedals that you've got currently? And while you answer that, I'm going to pull up your website here and try and share it. And let me say hello to a few more people that popped in. Meryl J, how are you? Hey, Joe.
Sure.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it's good to see Nate Sparks in there, and Tony Cormier. He said he's had a Kalon clone for 5+ years. That was probably one of the biggest sellers, because I was really working hard to source the actual parts and quality parts for that. In fact, one of my suppliers had actually brought in a new line of parts just because he knew what I was asking for was probably going to be needed by other people doing the same thing at the same time, which was pretty cool. He called me one afternoon, a Sunday afternoon, at my in-laws there on my cell phone. I thought that was like super cool. So yeah, the Kalon line was really, really, really good seller, because I was selling them for a couple $100, and they were, awesome. They were awesome to play. The probably the second biggest seller over the years has been the Rat. I had sourced a bunch of the original LM308 chips, or the LM308N chips that were used in the old early 80s Rats, which I had owned an original, and it was awesome, which was part of the reason why I had worked hard to try to come up with a good copy. And the honker, of course, the biggest challenge I think with the honker is convincing guys that are Tube Screamer fans, or the Boss SD1, which is the Boss version of a early Tube Screamer or Maxon 808 circuit. They get fond of whichever one they've owned for 20 years, or they paid a lot of money for it, and they're reluctant to try something different sometimes. And that's probably been the biggest hurdle, is to get somebody to try something new that may cost half of what they paid for their 808 that they got on their pedal board, and to listen to it with an open mind.
Yeah, well, I tell you that. I mean, you mentioned the Tube Screamer. I mean, that 808, like I said earlier, that's been on my board ever since I've gotten it. It's just absolutely fantastic pedal. And I mean, I would normally say that I've been gigging with it, but I haven't had a chance to gig yet. Well, I did gig in March, but I got it after that. So, but I've been rehearsing with it, and it's not failed. And like I said, it's I've been using it a lot because it's a really nice. It's just a really nice drive on its own, and as a lead boost, it works great. So I got your website up here. You can probably see that. And I see the honker up there and the teal, and then you've got the you also have your version of a Rat pedal there as well. The Woodcutter Rat Distortion Replica. So
the reason why I put replica on there is because I used the same values specifically that were in the original Woodcutter Rat pedals from Proco. So they were a white face and a white face and a black face, Rat with the Proco symbol on it. And inside, on the back of the pots were all dated like mid or early 80s, and there was a white label inside, about a half an inch wide and about I would say 3 inches long, that had, in somebody with a typewriter wrote Woodcutter on it. And I assume it was the guy that was doing quality control, or maybe one of the assemblers there at Proco, but they're the ones that are sought after as far as the early Rat 2s. Now, there was the version before that, which were a big box Rat, and they're like super expensive. I think they're about $1,000 a piece now. The Woodcutters go for $350 to $600, and they're awesome. I owned one. It was awesome.
yeah, I mean, I'm looking at yours here. It says here you only got one left, and you're selling it for $170 Canadian, which is like $1.50 US. Very well priced. Yeah. So I imagine
Yeah, I think there's actually 2 of those left. I try to be fairly transparent with the website there, that I can be anyway.
Yeah. I should mention I have this link to Tim's webpage in the description below. I also have a link to the TL Pedals Canada YouTube if you want to check that out maybe after the show. Both links are below. Alex Radford is saying he needs more pedals. We always need more pedals. Yeah. So here's a question for you. As somebody who is an owner of the TL808, how would you differentiate that, specifically the crunch channel, because it's straight up crunch, does straight up crunch as well. How would you differentiate that from the honker?
Can you just say the last part again? I think it cut out on me just a little bit.
Differentiate between the crunch channel on the TL808 and the honker.
So with the honker, one of the changes I made from the through hole, you can see it's listed there, Canadian 149 or 199. So the 199 is the through hole original version. They both have the switches. The 149, I tried to incorporate a little bit of what I changed with the 808. The circuit's still the same tone control, but the toggle switch on the surface mount, the cheaper version, is actually the same style crunch as I used in the TL808. So it's like it has the function of a turbo rat or a crunch box. It's more of a harsh, sudden clip on the signal when you have the drive up. It has more headroom than the stock clipping. When you put the switch in, would just be the stock clipping. Out would be the crunch on the new version, the surface mount version of the honker. On the through-hole components, I was using a germanium combo, which they didn't offer as far as components for the surface mount that I was working with. And I figured the 808 had a good range there with a higher headroom, a little more sudden clipping on the crunch side, and then also on the gain. So the gain pot, I used like a 1 meg gain pot in the new honker, the same way I did with the 808. So there's even a little bit more gain than I had been offering in the honker. And I'll still make the 808 probably as long as people want them. But I hope that as people get more exposure to the honker, they'll see how it compares to a regular 808 and start to migrate that way over time. Although there's still plenty of people that need to have a green pedal with the 808 on their pedal board, just because they're so accustomed to it.
That would be me. We have a couple of questions here. Brian S. is asking, ask Tim about adding his Klon to his reverb page. They aren't listed there.
So I got in trouble on Reverb. I had the King Klon listed on there for the longest time, and it ended up in a conversation with Bill Finnegan in the end. And after talking with him, understanding how much time and effort he had put into designing the circuit, and the way he uses his profits from making them too, I think it was something that he didn't ask me to stop making them or tell me to stop making them. He just wanted me to stop using the Klon name because it was a licensed trademark of his. Mm-hmm. At the time, I had decided that, I don't want to be viewed as stealing something from somebody, although, I still got rats, I still got 808s, I still got a Stinger Fuzz that has a big muff pi circuit in it. I mean, a lot of these sort of things get reused over and over again, whether it's a soft clipping feedback loop type circuit, or if it's a hard clipping circuit like the Rat. There's a lot of ways you can voice them, but as far as Reverb goes, I pulled the ads off of Reverb for the Clone and the Silver Pony, and of course they had pulled the King Klon ad after my copyright infringement strike on that. So I'm going to use up the rest of the parts I have, and I don't think it would be fair for me to just throw all that away. But I understand too that it is something unique, it is something special, and if somebody does get to the point in their career that they can justify spending $2,750 American to buy a real Klon, then yeah, you can buy one from Bill Finnegan himself on eBay. And there's plenty of clones out there. The direction I'm taking it is I'm going away from the name. I'm going away from the circuit with the buffered circuit that's in the Klon, and I'm using a couple of the ideas that are not necessarily unique to the Klon itself, but a hard clipping vintage type germanium clipping with the switch like I had on the Silver Pony. And we're going to be launching, hopefully in the next week or two, our SP Plus. And we're reusing some graphics that we had from a number of years ago for another design, which was called the SP Plus. But only ever made, I think, 2 or 3 of those, so it didn't really belong to anything specifically. So that's going to be in a box similar to what you see there as the Stinger Fuzz, but it's going to have a switch. It's going to have a clean control and a dirt control. It'll have a tone control and then an output volume control. So more like a tinkering kind of overdrive, but still real high headroom with that power pump inside of it, and that real subtle overdrive that you can blend in as much or as little as you want, and then the clipping bypass like I use on my Rat and the Honker and the 808, so that if somebody's looking for just a booster, they can use it on their acoustic guitar or electric guitar or whatever they really feel like.
Yeah, that makes sense. BV Ninja is saying salute. How are you, BV? He's asking, does TL808 have symmetrical clipping as the original Ibanez? The Boss SD1 that is asymmetrical.
So in the 808, it is symmetrical clipping on both the crunch side and the stock side. The Honker I used, on the new version of the Honker, I used the same symmetric crunch clipping on the switch out, but on the switch in, I've always used in the Honker the asymmetric clipping. There's really 2 reasons for that. Not to copy the Boss clipping, whatever. The way it works is if there's one clipping diode on this side, the clipping threshold we'll say is 3. Well, if there's 2 over on this side, then the clipping threshold is actually going to be 6. So when the signal's going one way, it's being clipped at 3. And when the signal's going the other way, it's going to be clipped at 6. So when they talk about the asymmetric clipping being tube-like, what it's doing is it's not just squashing the high and the low side of that signal wave.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually clipping one side a little bit different than the other. And that's what makes it tube-like, because it's mixing that together a little bit. So it's so subtle you could never hear it. In fact, even on a DAW, if you digitally record it and zoom in on it, it's hardly even noticeable, even at a factor of 2 and 6 sort of thing. The Timmy uses 3 and 3, but it's also a really high headroom, very mild overdrive unless you really pin it. So that's kind of how the clipping threshold works on those 2 pedals.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the Timmy. I absolutely love the Timmy pedal. Another pedal that is, at least in Canada, very pricey. I ended up getting a Timmy clone for that reason. But yeah, I'm surprised you don't have a Timmy type pedal. That's something. Or tell us what you mentioned, the one pedal that you the other version of the Klon that you're going to be building. But is there other pedals that you have in mind in the future? Let me feature you here.
Can you read that? No.
Hang on. Let's see it. Let's see it.
That might be in the works. I figured if it's got my name in part of it there, it's probably fair game.
Okay.
So that's where I always write on my boxes. It's where I always write the model and the serial number. So yeah, that's one that's been in the works for a while.
Oh, okay. It's been in the works. So have you? Are they? They're not on your website. Are they going to be up for sale shortly or anytime soon?
Um, probably not till like the end of the first quarter next year, just because we're trying to launch 3 pedals right now before the end of 2020. The tremolo, a the that SP Plus I just mentioned,
Mhm.
and also a just a real short delay type pedal. I guess it's my first attempt at coming into something more than just a reverb, but something with a slapback delay or up to maybe 300 milliseconds of delay. That's what I've been working on, and the artwork for the SP Plus and also the tremolo. Oh, and the booster. Sorry, I guess there's another one in the works too. So we've got 3 that are already sent off to get the enclosures all powder coated and printed. Those will be done. Those will be done within a couple weeks, I'm hoping. And the other one for the delay, that's still in the works. But I think it's going to be worth it. It's going to be a little bit more work, but I think it's going to be worth it because anybody that uses that carbon copy pedal, even without tap tempo, I think there's a good special place for that. And the tap tempo obviously is going to be a lot more work to integrate that in the future.
Cool. Yep. Just get some really good stocking stuffer ideas for the guitar player or stocking stuffers for yourself with some of these pedals. Very cool. Very cool. Um, so let's say, what would you recommend? Like, let's say you wanted an 80s metal tone. Would you be able to achieve that with your version of the Rat? Because, and the reason I'm asking is, I have very limited exposure with the Rat. I only had one for somebody lent me one for a couple of months, and it had like one good position. But your Rat, is it a little more? Do you think maybe more versatile for an '80s rock tone?
Oh yeah, I love the Rat. Like I can actually set my Rat so it's almost clean, if you can believe that. And the way it has a that unique chip in it, it's just a single stage op amp. That LM308N chip that everybody is anxious to have in their Rat pedal. It actually has a really good quality gain stage at the end, a JFET type gain stage at the end. So it's really clean in what it does with that signal after that op amp. So when you set the they call it sustain on the Rat, but when they set that really low and crank the volume, it really has a nice low distortion setting. And then, of course, on the other end, there's a reason why the Rat never had a status light originally, is because they figured it didn't need one, because when it was on, there was no question that it was on. It was just in your face, tear your ears out, and go to lunch.
Yeah. Well, the one that I had, I don't ask me what model Rat it was. It was just one knob on it, no switches, one knob, and there was one spot in particular, and I can't remember where the knob was, where it sounded great. So I don't know if it's the JFET clipping that you mentioned. Maybe that's when that part kicks in. I don't know. I don't know. Uh, we have a question. Thunder Falcon
They
is
changed the main chip in it there on the newer.
okay. Thunder Falcon has a question. As a designer, Tim, is there any new ground to break in the pedal world? That's a great question.
I think the big factor for me, I've talked about this before, but I think the big factor for me is what you value in your gear, because depending on what you're comfortable with or what you're proud playing with, to have gear that is worth something, that's going to last, that's going to hold up if you throw it in a trailer and truck it halfway across the country. I think for people, I think they're more likely to switch out. Like if they only have so much real estate on their pedal board, they're more likely to switch out a pedal on their pedal board to something that's going to hold up better, it's going to hold its value better, or replace something that they've had fail on them before. As far as breaking new ground in the in this market, so to speak, I think the ground's going to break when people start having some of their equipment fail. More and more companies are putting out like digital-based effects or simulators, and I'm concerned that over time, if I invest a lot of effort and time into going that route, which I don't know, but the value is going to be that like early 80s rats still were $500 or $600, or one of the original Maxon 808s is going to hold its value, and maybe you have to replace the foot switch in it, but somebody's still going to want a mild overdrive. Somebody's still going to want a fuzz or a hard distortion or a good booster or a Klon something or other, and a delay and a reverb. So I feel like I'm better off trying to bank my time in the long run, that the gear people get from me is going to last them 20 or 30 years or 40 years. Like that old MXR pedal that, somebody gets the foot switch replaced in that they paid $60 for when they were a kid, that still does the job. So yeah, tough question.
Yeah, I mean, you're mentioning the going into the digital domain. So I before all this coronavirus thing hit, I went and I bought myself an HX Effects, which I don't know if you're familiar with that unit, but it's like every effect you want in a box. And the reason I got it was to take the place of my pedal board. So I programmed all my sounds that I use, and being in a cover band, I use a lot of different sounds. And I basically programmed it all in there. And it sounded great. And it's not because it didn't sound great, but after sort of the the coolness of it kind of wore off a little bit, and then I found myself going to rehearsal and not taking that anymore, and going right back to my pedal board, because I guess I'm such a you know I'm a fossil. I mean, it's just I don't know. I just like that. Yeah, I need that sound. Turn those on. Hit that knob. Boom, 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 boom. So yeah, I don't think that'll ever, at least for my generation, I don't think that's ever gonna go away completely. The tactile, the whole tweaking pedal thing, and doing it, having a board in front of you.
I think too. The next generation too. I think the emphasis that they have and what they do, out of respect for the previous generations too, really adds a certain legitimacy to what they're doing. If they can go home in their bedroom with their laptop and record a whole bunch of stuff with take after take after take after take with the DAW, you can do a lot with editing, or you can do a lot with compression or EQ or all of that digitally. But live, there is no way, unless you're Milli Vanilli and doing the lip syncing thing, there is no way to hide behind all of that technology. If you're live, or if you're playing on a live stream, it's pretty transparent. And I think just being able to click something on and off to take it out of your chain or add it into your chain, especially if you happen to have a problem. Pretty good if it's true bypass. You click a switch and it's, unless the bottom falls off the switch, which has happened, but unless the bottom falls off the switch, that immediately fixes your problem.
Yeah, yeah, and like I've just done a few original recordings, and your pedal, your TL808 is featured in two of them. I used your pedal for my main drive sound. That's how much I love the tone of that pedal. And a Les Paul into that pedal is just, and an SG actually is just glorious. Absolutely glorious. Yeah. Okay, so let's see if if you've got questions, folks.
That's awesome, man. That's really cool to hear.
Yeah, man. Check out my original tunes. You'll hear your pedal on two of them. If anyone's got any questions, please pop them in. So Tim, you were saying that you wanted to do a pedal giveaway on this show. So what were you thinking?
Well, I'd like to give away one of the new version surface mount honkers, and if whoever wins already has one, maybe we could give them one of the new stingers instead, the surface mount stingers, because I want to start getting some of those out there so that people can hear that they sound fantastic, and it literally cuts my build time in half, which keeps me more productive, and it also allows me to charge a little bit less too for those guys that want to try to be more financially efficient.
Okay, cool. So we're looking at a Stinger Fuzz. So I was trying to figure out the best way to do this, and that was unbiased as possible. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get Tim, because you're giving away the pedal. What I'm going to do, I'm going to ask you, Tim, is I'm going to ask you to, and you can send it to me. If you look on the left-hand side, or sorry, the right-hand side, you're going to see, if you go to, you're going to see private chat, okay, which you've already used, so you're very familiar with it. So what I want you to do is, in the private chat, pick a number between 1 and 50. And when I say go, I'll have people guess, and whoever hits that number first will win the pedal. And I picked 50 because there's 58 people in here right now. Okay, just waiting for the number to come in.
I'll email it to you too, in case this is buffering too long.
Okay. All right. Waiting for the email. If you're typing in numbers now, I'm not going to look at them. Only from the time I say go. And I'll say go as soon as I get the number. Just turning on my phone here. Wait for an email. All right, I got the number. Okay, so I'm going to go to the chat. All right, okay. I'm going to start when I say go on the count of 3. I'm going to disregard every number that's in here. Okay? I'm going to start on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Starting with Tone Bolts. He's the first one. Okay. As soon as I see that number, I'm counting from Tone Bolts onwards. Oh man, other numbers are flying in. Okay.
Ooh, I'm winning.
All right, Nate Sparks. We have a winner. Nate Sparks is the winner of the pedal. Congratulations, Nate. Okay, so
That's awesome, Nate. I've got his address, and he's already been a frequent flyer.
there you go. Perfect. Congratulations, Nate. I don't have an applause thing to play, but like, congratulations. Awesome. Okay, so you guys, Nate's already, yeah, Nate's already bought some of your stuff, so you got his address. So you're good to go then. You don't need anything from Nate, Tim. Is that correct?
No, we're good.
All right. Perfect. Perfect. Congratulations, man. Congratulations. Okay, we got a few minutes left. If let me know if anyone's got any questions. In the meantime, while I'm waiting for some questions to. Oh, here's a question for Tim. What pedal would work best if I wanted to get a new wave of British heavy metal tone?
Say that again. A new what of heavy
Wave
metal
of
tone?
British heavy metal. So he's talking bands like Iron Maiden, Saxon, bands like that. Well, let's stick with Iron Maiden. That's probably the best example of that.
Whew. I think as far as my pedals or any pedal, I would say if you took a one of the things I liked about the King Klon circuit that I had, I think I got a couple of them left, was you're able to take the Klon and pin it, which was huge. Like it had tons and tons of level, and then run it right into the Blues Breaker, which would drive the thing into fuzz. Like it was screaming. Which the Blues Breaker, any of that kind of Marshall-esque sort of clipping seems to really sing with that. But I would I don't know. I would tend to take something like a booster and run it before something you already have that you like, and just see if you could do that, because I think a lot of people are accustomed to just running boosters at the end of their chain or after their drive section, and you probably already have a Marshall in a box or something that you're going to be familiar with, and maybe just try running another booster before it or another gain stage before it, and that'll thicken out the harmonics on that even more. It might be something worth trying, and you could probably go try it tonight.
Yeah, yeah. Here's another question for you. This is from Hugh Caldwell. He's asking if you make a Univibe style pedal.
So I don't have a vibe, but my Angel Choir chorus has a vibes mod switch on it. So it essentially takes out the cleans and allows it to double the rate of the chorus. So it's not a true vibrato because it's not using that optical type rate, but it would be the closest thing that I have up to this point. But once I get the designs that I have that I know are our base product line converted over to what I'm happy with on the surface mount, I think then I'll be able to kind of skip a little bit of that product development and go right to more prototyping, and then see what works and what doesn't. because oh, Quentin wants me to say hi to Emmett there because he digs he digs my pedals. Thanks, Quentin. Hi, Emmett. The vibes with that optical, there's like there's 4 photosensors, and they actually use that, which I'm using in my new delay and on my old version of the compressor, that photosensitive resistor with a signal coming from a LED or from a neon bulb of some kind. It really gives a organic change to what would otherwise be an analog solid state signal. And I like the idea of it. It's a lot of work though. So to do it right, it's going to take some time. So yeah, short answer, yeah, the mod switch on the Angel Choir chorus kind of does a vibes effect, which helps, but to do it right, it's going to take some time.
Brody Hutchins is asking if can he get the last King Klon you make.
I think Brody ordered one last week. Can I get the last King Klon? So I had the same request. So I had a fella from Sweden or somewhere ask if I could do a King Klon in a smaller box. So to justify the cost of like redesigning it and having new enclosures made, I had made a number of like the 1590 BB size, which would be like some of the not the MXR size, like 2 MXR pedals side by side. That's style, like the Klon, I guess, in a way. And somebody had come along and said, okay, I want one of those. They were purple, and he wanted the last one of those. Brody, I don't know how many I got left. I don't think I have very many left, 2 or maybe 3. So yeah, if you want the last one and you're willing to wait for it, then yeah, you can have the last one. Or if you want it next week, you can have the one I'm building. Yeah.
Okay. Dan in New Jersey is saying he's not clear if the pedals are true bypass or buffered bypass.
So all of my pedals are true bypass, except for the pedals that were Klon based. The clones, the gold version horsey clones that I did, the King Klons were buffered bypass on the Klon side, which meant that it had to be plugged in to use the signal chain. And the Silver Pony is also buffered bypass with the Klon bypass. And it's not your typical Ibanez or Boss buffer. Like these are high-end buffers that are in the Klon circuit. There's a reason why Bill Finnegan wrote on the Klon KTR on the side where he had the switch for the true bypass and buffer bypass. The true bypass said almost always worse, right? The buffer bypass was almost always better. And the only time that doesn't play nice is in certain wah pedals and certain old school PNP style fuzzes. They had weird output impedance on the circuits, and they didn't always play well with the next gain stage in some pedals. So a buffer helps clean that up.
Here's a good question. This is from Spencer Cron. He's saying, Tim, do you have anything similar? Oh, we just lost Tim. Okay. Well, while we're waiting for Tim to come back, and I will make sure he answers that question, Spencer. While we're waiting for Tim to come back, I want to thank everybody for watching. And if you want to help support the Hack channel, please first of all please like and subscribe the video. That would be awesome. Subscribe to the channel, and I have links below for Guitar Hack merch, and there's a PayPal there. That'd be much appreciated. Support the channel. I want to get rid of this. It's over on this side, no, that side. I want to get rid of this duck. So anything that you can contribute to getting rid of that duck would be much appreciated. And also, I have an Instagram and a Facebook page below. If you want to follow me on Instagram and Facebook, the Guitar Hack Facebook page. There's also a Guitar Hack group, which is very cool. We get a lot of regular contributors to that page. You know, some really cool content on that, videos and announcements of things coming up and so on, just really cool stuff there. So all of that would be much appreciated. And while we're waiting for Tim, let me tell you about next week's show. So next week's show is Jeff Young, rescheduled from, was it last week? I think it was last week. So Jeff Young, former guitar player from Megadeth, will be on the show a week from today. And the following week, I'm going to have a couple of gentlemen that are responsible for putting out a CD for charity. They did basically did a CD of all Kiss songs with all these guest musicians. A lot of the musicians on there either played or recorded or have some association with Kiss. So he put this CD together, and it's for a charity. It's for the homeless in Buffalo, New York. The guy's based in Buffalo, New York. So it's John and Gene will be, not Gene Simmons, another Gene, will be on the show the following week. So we got a couple of really cool shows coming up. So make sure you're around and check those out. Have you tried the Angel Choir pedal? No, I haven't. No. The only pedal of Tim's that I have, and so I've tried it, is the TL808. And again, I'm just telling you it's a great pedal because it's a great pedal. It's amazing. You guys, if you follow the channel, I put out some original music. I got that pedal all over like two of the songs. I probably all three songs, but they're all over those songs. So yeah, it's just a great pedal. Just a great, if you want that sort of nice, crunchy overdrive where you still hear the guitar, the character of the guitar, you still hear the notes, everything just kind of comes through nicely. Tim is just he'll be, I just see him popping up here, so he should be another minute or two. But the pedal's it's fantastic. And the Tube Screamer, it does three things, right? On the Tube Screamer position, I use it for my lead boost, and then I switch it over if I just want to use it for straight crunch. It's also a clean boost. It's amazing that I hope he keeps making those TL808s. So here he is, back again. Okay. Just before we lost you, Tim, Spencer Cron had a question. Do you have anything similar to the original Marshall Governor?
Not yet. I've wrestled with which Marshall in a box I'd lean more towards. To be honest, I like most of them. Even the old Blues Breaker, like I've used that circuit in the King Klon. It's the King of Tone spec, but it's a Blues Breaker circuit with just the tone control, and then of course two mod switches in it. One for hard clipping, and then soft clipping with 3 clipping options in that. And so yeah, I guess I build the Blues Breaker. The Governor's an awesome circuit, though. It has like the 3-band active EQ in it, and really for guys that really want to tweak stuff, that's probably, I don't know, I would say between the Governor and the Blues Breaker, I mean, they're probably undersung heroes of the whole pedal industry over the years. But
I have the version 2 of the Marshall Governor, which is pretty inexpensive pedal. I use that for quite a while. The thing is built like a tank. I mean, it's a weapon. It's got a lot of beef to it, but it's a pretty good pedal. I mean, especially for the cost of it. But the one that everybody goes crazy for, of course, is the first gen or the original Marshall, and I know they're going for a fair dollar these days. So yeah, yeah. Okay, folks, let me know if you've got any. We're at
Oh
the.
yeah, and they're rugged too, for sure, like you say.
Oh yeah. Let me know if you've got any more questions for Tim before we let him go. I'll just hang here for a bit. Spencer has the early 90s Governor. Okay, so that's the original, I would imagine. Very cool, very cool. Okay, and I want to thank my mod, Sandra. Thank you so much.
I
Brian S.
think part of what happened with that is when they had switched to the small mini series, I think they lost some of their momentum on the cheaper versions.
Yeah, yeah, there's definitely a difference. Uh, One Boogie Boy is asking, what is Brielle working on these days? First of all, let everybody know who Brielle is, and you can answer that.
Thanks, Pat. Yeah, Brielle hasn't been doing too much for pedals lately. She got back to school, and to be honest, she's a great student. She's always got a smile on her face, but yeah, she doesn't love the whole workspace changes and conditions and everything involved in that too much. So yeah, it she hasn't been doing a lot for pedals there lately, but we've been trying to spend lots of time playing and getting out and doing things, trying to get her out in the country and out in the woods as much as possible, and just to let her be a little girl while she's a little girl. She's going to be 10 just in a couple of weeks, and that's the big 2 digits. It's a pretty big deal.
I remember when my kids were 10. Okay, cool, cool. All right, so again, uh, links to Tim's webpage is below. Sandra's been throwing them up every once in a while as well. Oh, she's got it up right there right now. So there's links to Tim's page, webpage below. You can order the pedals. Those prices are Canadian, so for
Thanks
US,
a lot, Sandra. I appreciate that. tlpedals.com. We own that too.
perfect. Yeah, um, they're Canadian prices, so for you US folks, they're it's well worth the money. Great value there. And also, if you want to see the pedals demoed, um, Tim's YouTube channel, he's got demos of I think pretty much, excuse me, pretty much all his pedals too. Yeah. Okay, so I think we're going to wrap this up. Tim, any last things you want to mention?
This has been great. I appreciate the opportunity to get on here, and I was glad to see a lot of the guys on here locally, and see Nate. I think he's from down Halifax way, and Tony's a local guy, and Jay Wu. You made it right on.
Okay, Thunder Falcon wants to see the Angel Choir. I believe that one is up on your site. Is that correct? Can you tell us a little bit about the Angel Choir? Because Thunder Falcon's been asking about it.
Yes, the Angel Choir is like a regular chorus pedal, but it has two different mods in it. It has the spacey mod, which like the shoegazer type, gives you more of an effect of just crazy. Like you could control it so high up that it almost doesn't make sense to have in a pedal, but you can shut off the clean side and it just gives you that effect of being in outer space, even though there's no air in space, so there's no sound. But yeah, so on cartoons where you normally hear the sound effects out in space where things are all echoey and it's like way off into nowhere land, that's what the mod switch for the spacey effect is. And then of course the vibes, which doubles the rate of the chorus, and it gives you that the vibes effect there. It's not so lush and smooth like a chorus. And the chorus on the low end, I always keep suggesting like acoustic guitar and bass for people on the pedals that are EQ'd right for them, because I played bass for years and years and years and years. And there's always like new ways of using some of these things, like the Angel Choir chorus on acoustic. It's like amazing. Acoustic guitar with chorus is beautiful. I don't know why all acoustic guitar players that play plugged in don't use chorus all the time. I would use it.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, Thunder Falcon, there you go. Okay, folks, thank you so much for watching the show. Make sure you check back next week. As I mentioned before, we have Jeff Young from Megadeth will be on here 8 o'clock next Wednesday night. Have a great rest of your week, folks. Have a fantastic weekend. And we will see you all soon. Cheers.